All right, here we are. Today we are down two people. It's just myself and Jonathan, aka Blackwing 2040. I gotta ask, where's the 2040 actually come from?
Okay, the 2040 thing started because I was trying to match the number up with Batman Beyond, but the thing is, Batman Beyond takes place in the year 2039. I was just off by one
Oh,
number.
I get it. So it's like a Blade Runner 2049 or Spider Man 2099 or
Yeah,
like say
yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was just off by one number, and plus around that time when I was in high school, the app 2048 was popular.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's kind of where I got that from.
Actually, I think I re-downloaded that one recently.
Yeah, so did I, because I was getting bored. I'm like, you know what? I still have
It's
never
why
been
it's
able
one of
to.
those games that's it's just it's like mindless.
Yeah,
Like even though you have to do math to figure it out, it's not. It's like really not that difficult.
yep. I see you rocking that Action Comics 1000
Oh
t-shirt.
yeah,
Dope.
yeah, yeah. So I got this from DC when the Action Comics came out, or when that issue came out. I actually have. I don't know if I have it here. Let me see. I gotta move some of my stuff here.
that
Uh,
Tron poster.
yeah. So I got Action Comics number 1000.
One awesome.
I actually have a couple of them. Do you want one? Do you have it?
I not a physical copy
All
of
right. Well, there we go. Okay, so
uh,
actually, you know what? I think I have three copies of this. So I've got one
ooh.
for you and one for someone in the audience.
Oh, look at
I
that.
don't know. I don't know how to give that away though.
We'll make it a contest. We'll just act like a Superman related question, I guess.
We'll figure something out. Maybe or
Yeah.
maybe we'll tie this into something else to get more people watching some of the other stuff. Like maybe a
Good
Twitch
idea.
feed.
Good idea.
Because you and I still need to talk about that and get you onto Twitch sometime soon.
Yes.
But how's everyone else doing? Here in the chat, we've got the Blur and Jared Hodges. We're 10 minutes late, so I don't know who else is here.
We got
Uh,
a Blur, Jared Hodges,
oh,
Jalen
Jalen
Glover.
Glover. Haven't seen that guy in a while.
I know,
Um,
right?
so yeah, so since we're down two people today, we're gonna cut the show just a little short. We're only gonna talk about the Trakina's Revenge episode instead of Trakina's Revenge Part One, Part Two, and Weird Clip Show.
Yeah. Strictly just a team up. I so basically with Trakina's Revenge, I should have brought the VHS with me in my hand when I moved to another room. I should have brought the VHS in my hand. But yeah, originally how I first saw this episode, and I have a huge nostalgia for this team up because I can't believe how this happened. But yeah, McDonald's was releasing a VHS tape called Power Rangers in 3D. And
I
on that
remember we talked about this before.
Yes. Yeah, and on that tape was the two episodes, Trakina's Revenge. But strangely enough, it wasn't even in 3D. It wasn't
Yeah,
it
that
wasn't
doesn't make
even
any
3D.
sense.
It was not even in 3D at all. Like none of it was in 3D. I didn't even get any 3D glasses with it either. So
That's bullshit.
now that's just bad marketing. That's what it is. That's bad marketing.
So
uh,
okay. So I before we actually get into this episode, or talking about the episode itself, I want to ask you a couple questions about like tangentially related Power Ranger stuff.
go.
Okay, so in this episode, we get the Lightspeed Rescue team teaming up with the Lost Galaxy team,
Yep.
um, and even Olympius also wants to take out Trakina.
Yes.
Um, have we ever seen in Power Rangers the villains actually teaming up with the Rangers to defeat an enemy? Like we get that all the time in comic book stuff. Like
Mm,
we always see the villains teaming up with the heroes to take out a more powerful enemy or one that just benefits them both by having out of the way. But I don't remember, at least since I've started watching Power Rangers in the 3 or 4 seasons that I've seen. I don't I don't remember that ever happening.
okay, so basically how this kind of went out, it's basically Olympius, came to Triskull. He was like, look, whatever power source that you guys got going on in here, give it to me so I can give it to my mother. But of course,
Right.
Olympius placed like a spy bat, keeping an eye on them. He's like, oh, so he's just using the energy to give it to Trakina and not you, mother. I'm like, all right, all right. I don't like this. And his mother's like, I don't tolerate traitors either. So it was like, all right, so I'm gonna sabotage the plans. That's why he created that poison, pour the poison on that dagger,
Right.
and interfered with Trakina's transformation phase. So pretty much like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. It's kind of like with that situation.
Right. But we haven't seen like an actual proper team up between Rangers, have we? Like across like any of the seasons,
What do you
like
mean? What do you mean by proper?
with the villains, like them actually coming together and being like, listen,
Oh,
um,
oh, oh.
Lord Zed
Um,
is too powerful. He's a pain in your ass. He's a pain in our ass. Let's just get together and do what needs to be done, and then after that, we can go back to being enemies again. Like, have we seen that kind of a thing?
um, ooh, actually, no, we don't.
Because
No, we don't.
that's like one of the most common like tropes in these kind of shows is
Oh, so you mean
the
like
villains and the heroes teaming up together to take out someone else.
See me like an example, the X-Men and the Brotherhood taking down Apocalypse.
Right, or like the Flash teaming up with Captain Cold to take out someone else.
Gotcha. Yeah, we never got something like that before. We like the heroes teaming up with the full team of bad guys. No,
Yeah.
no, we never got that.
'Cause I kind of feel like that would be interesting to see.
That would be it. That would be very
It
interesting.
because it would like while it's not an
Wait,
original idea.
wait, actually, I'm
Oh
wrong.
no,
Shatter Grid. I just remembered. Shatter Grid. We got that with Shatter Grid.
that
When
was the comics though, right?
Yeah, that comic event where
Yeah.
Draken's taking over all the Ranger world, stealing their powers, and Zordon's like, "We need backup." So they go to Rita for assistance,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
they yeah. So yeah, I was like, "Wait,
But
that never happened."
live action we haven't seen that.
No, we didn't. We never really got that in live action before.
Yeah, interesting. I'm honestly surprised in the 28 years that the show has been on that they haven't done something like that.
Maybe they'll probably attempt something like that in live action. Maybe it's a
'Cause,
possibility.
I mean, we've had villains become good guys,
Yeah, redeeming themselves at the very end of each season.
or not only that, but like Rita turned into the what was it, the
The
Mystic
Mystic
Mother,
Mother,
and Andromeda, or not Andromeda,
Divatox becoming
what.
everyone, pretty much all the
Well,
Zordon era
Divatox,
villains getting
yeah,
purified.
she was reverted back to her good self,
Hmm.
I guess. But then what's her name? Melody Perkins' character,
Astronomer being
Astronema,
turned back
right?
into
Andromeda,
Corone.
Astronomy being turned back into Corone. The Magna Defender was kind of a dick, but he wasn't exactly a bad guy.
Hmm. He
Um,
just had a different. He just went out with the wrong intentions.
So we've seen that kind of stuff before, but never like a villain versus, or villain and good guy and Ranger like co team thing.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not,
We
I'm
never
great.
got.
I'm great with my words today.
To.
So okay. So in this episode, like, give us a rundown of what actually is the like, again, elevator pitch, like minute or less. What's the synopsis of these two episodes?
Okay, so basically, boom, it's like this. Trakina is back, and she's back with a vengeance. So she decides to transport herself to Earth to get revenge on the Lost Galaxy Rangers for destroying her and destroying her beauty, per se. So she decides, like, all right, I'm gonna destroy Earth, because we all know in Lost Galaxy, their whole journey was through the stars, through space, through the galaxies, and all that took place on Terra Venture. But now, of course, somewhere Trakina found out. I guess she did. I don't even know if she found out the Rangers were from Earth, because remember in the beginning of Lost Galaxy, Scorpius was the one in charge. So
Right.
maybe somewhere in between the lines behind the scenes, someone spilled the beans to like, hey, you want to get revenge on the Rangers? Go after their home planet. Go destroy Earth. So I guess, Trakina found her way to Earth, and she had Triskull helping her out, and boom, that's how we got the plot of Trakina's revenge.
So okay, so in the very beginning of the first episode of this two-parter, we see Leo grab one of the swords out of this, or grab his sword out of the
Hmm.
stone, and transform back into the Red Ranger again. Um, At the end of Lost Galaxy, did we see them like be like, okay, we don't need to be Rangers anymore. We're here.
Yeah, they basically just put their swords back in the stone, and their powers were just not really. I don't know, wouldn't say destroyed or taken away. Just
Just
reverted back to the
move back to yeah. So something that I thought was a little interesting was we didn't see Leo morph. Like we heard him like do the Go Galactic call, and then
Mhm.
the very next shot he was back in the spandex.
Right, because
I'm assuming
this
that like maybe that was footage that they didn't have.
yeah, because this team up is majority of Sentai footage. It basically takes footage from the GoGoFive versus Gingaman team up, and a lot of this footage is from that team up. There's you could say like a minimal amount of original footage in this team
Right.
up, because usually with team ups, Japan does it, but we do it. Sometimes we do it better. Sometimes they do
Yeah.
it better than us. But yeah, team ups usually are strictly original footage. But in this case, like if you've seen the Zeo and the Alien Ranger team up, that was also Sentai footage.
Right.
So
Okay. So next question.
Mhm.
How did um how did they know that Leo was the Red Ranger?
that's I feel like that's an illogical question to even find out. I guess because again, this also goes another question I'm pretty sure you might bring up, because now that they're on Marinor, you see buildings and roads and streets on
Well, I mean
Marinor.
that I can write that off as okay. Well, they landed on Marinoi or crashed on Marinoi. However that happened, but maybe enough advanced technology existed that they were able to quickly build up. And we don't know how much time had passed between when they landed on Marinoi and when Lightspeed Rescue started, right?
Right. You could say like about a year.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, but was it a year? Was it maybe 5 years or 6 years? Like, there's no real way to know. So that's one of those things where I'm like, okay, I question a lot of things about Power Rangers, but this isn't. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that they were able to build this. Like maybe another ship. Maybe they found another ship or using the Ranger technology from the Astro mega ship or whatever, they were able to do stuff. So that's new. So Jonathan in the chat says that Kelsey knew, but the others did not. Uh,
That's the
but
thing.
we don't know that it was just Kelsey that knew. She's just the one that said, "You're Leo. You're the Red Ranger." We don't know that the other guys didn't know. We just know that she was the one that pointed it out.
This is this is a common thing that tends to happen in Ranger team ups. Like when the past team shows up, someone will be like, "Hey, you're so and so from that team," and it's crazy how sometimes they know each other. With Leo, I can understand it's weird because when he teamed up with the Space Rangers and he was like, "I was there the day you and the Rangers saved the Earth and everything," that kind of makes sense because
Yeah,
this. But here it's kind of weird to be like, how do you know Leo? Leo was in space his entire Ranger career.
yeah. Like none of the Lost Galaxy Rangers were Rangers on Earth,
Yeah.
and as far as I know, the Lightspeed Rescue team so far is the only team of Rangers where their uh, identities are public knowledge.
Yeah, public.
So yeah, so that was just kind of, it was one of those things where I was like, okay, like if it had been played off a little bit differently, I would chalk it up to okay, well, there's tapping into the morphing grid, and they just have that information. But
Hmm.
the way it was presented was that she just knew who he was, that wasn't recalled information from that.
Right. There's
But
like no Ranger file or anything.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know. It was just a bizarre thing, and then we don't even see how he got to Earth
Yeah, that too. That too.
or how they left. Like we saw them. We at the very end we saw the Lightspeed Rescue team waving. So we
Yeah.
have to assume that they were there in like the Astro Megaship, I guess maybe.
They probably, like you said, like the way how the team up ended with they flying away with their jet jammers. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how they got to Earth, how they came back.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I don't know. Just random questions that adult people would have, but kids not necessarily would.
unanswered questions on
Yeah.
Power Rangers.
So what did you think about these episodes? Like, I know you said that you really enjoyed these, but what stood out to you that you really liked, and what, if anything, did you not like about them?
I can say, because
And
growing up,
sorry, and that goes for you guys watching too. Like, let us know in the chat what stood out to you guys. What points did you see where you're like, oh man, this is really good, or I wish they had done this a little bit different.
I can say growing up, I just had a lot of nostalgia for it. And then as I got older, I hear people say it was not that good of a team. I was like, really? I loved it. And then you watch it over and over and see like, oh, I can see what you mean.
I mean, it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
The story itself was rather weak or
And
superficial maybe.
as I was watching it now this morning, and you know how since Heather, the little girl, she's pretty much like the main. She gets more screen time than the Rangers do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like a witness to a crime. So you know how it's. I know. Just keep up with me on this, because Heather's the only one with the knowledge of like, hey, something's wrong in this building. Something's going on the 13th floor.
Mhm.
Nobody else is believing her. So only person she can go to is the Rangers. So it's kind of like a witness protection kind of situation,
Right.
but a little bit, toned down. But I'm just like, wait a minute, this is like a little bit like a witness protection situation, because if no one else is believing her, who else is going to believe her except the Rangers?
Right, right. And to me, that was all honestly a little interesting to me too, because like everyone in this town knows that there's monsters that go around.
Okay,
Um,
that woman behind the desk, she, that's
so
like,
so like on the one hand, I can understand people who are like, oh, this is just a little kid seeing things. She got scared and she thought she saw a monster, but it wasn't really a monster. I can understand that to a degree, uh, but at the same time, people know that these things are things that happen there. So, like, wouldn't you want to be like, let's just make sure that you didn't see anything? It's like it's like when if you have kids or like kids in the house or something, and one of them says, "I saw something in the kitchen." You're gonna go and you're gonna look in the kitchen. Like you might think that you're not gonna see anything there, but you're gonna go and you're gonna look anyway, just to make sure, because who knows? Maybe a raccoon somehow got into the house. Yeah, like you don't
exactly.
know.
Exactly. That's why that woman behind the desk saying like, now there's no such thing as monsters. I'm like, woman,
You've
you
seen
know.
them.
I'm like,
You have
Mar-
seen monsters.
I'm like, Mariner Bay has been attacked by monsters all season. What do you mean there's no such thing as monsters?
Yeah. So that was a little bizarre to me. I did like how Sean played it off though.
Oh yes, he did. Like how he just like, oh really? But he's like, wait a minute, like she's onto something. And especially
Yeah.
when Triskull disguised himself as like an office security guard,
Hmm.
and how he's just like, something's off about this guy. So I'm gonna follow him and see where he leads. And of course, Heather decides to tag along, and be like, "Oh, so does that make me like a junior ranger?" I'm like, okay, I get it. That's
Sure.
adorable. It's adorable. It's cheesy but adorable. That's all it is.
Yeah. So okay. So what else? What else did you like or not like about this?
I can say, I guess, with all team ups, not enough interaction between rangers, because only time of interaction we get is literally right smack dab in the middle of part one. And you don't see them interact in part two. You only really see them interact in part two until like the end of the team
Right.
up. I don't count like talking in battle as interaction, because that's in the moment fight scenes.
Right.
That technically doesn't count. I'm talking like non-battling, conversing, coming up with a plan. That's what I mean. Because
Yeah.
even in the beginning of part two, it was Carter's idea that came up like, hey, we should disguise as firefighters to get everybody out of the building. They didn't converse it with the Lost Galaxy Rangers at all.
Yeah. So in the chat, Jared Hodges says that he enjoyed seeing Joel meet Damon and Joel showering flowers in his Zord, or flyers, not flowers, flyers.
Yeah,
That
Joel
yeah that
trying
that
to be
was
the
that
center of attention.
I thought that was a fun moment too, when I forget who it was, but one of them said to him like, do you have to do this all the time? And
Yeah,
he's like,
Carter's like,
it just happens. This is
it
just who I am.
was like, why you always have to be the center of attention? It's like, well, I don't have to be. Instead, I usually am.
Yeah.
It just happens. Like you said, it just
Yeah.
happens.
That was fun. That was fun. Let's see. Let's go through the characters. Maya really didn't do much.
Nothing. She only had like two lines,
Yeah.
two or three, two like 2 to 4 lines of dialogue. Interacting with Carter when she showed up to give him a hand. Had a few conversations with the Lightspeed Rangers at the end of the episode. Yeah, that was Man, I
Yeah,
did not
but
get much to say.
she was a little underutilized. What's his name? The Blue Ranger from Lost Galaxy.
Kai.
Kai.
Ooh, yeah, Kai didn't have nothing to say either.
Yeah, he didn't really do anything. It seemed to be more Leo and Carter focused.
Yeah, Leo and Carter got most of the talking. Of course, Carter and Heather got more of the talking, and even sadly enough, the Lightspeed Rangers only got like a few talks of dialogue in part 1 and part 2. That not so much either. So,
something that I did notice was that this is one of the few times that you actually see Dana doing like the EMT thing. Like we saw her run over to someone towards the beginning of one of the episodes with like a little first aid kit type thing. It was like, oh, I'll take care of her, or him, or whoever it was. Because the last time that I remember seeing her do something that was EMT parallel was in the first episode when she was like, "Oh, here I can help this person that was stuck in this fire.
right.
Here's your oxygen match. Hey guys, he's over here." Like we don't actually ever see her doing any kind of like real paramedic work.
Right. But
What else we got?
Damon and Kendrix. Oh yes, Kendrix is now back as the Pink Ranger, not Karone. So I guess Karone must be off relaxing on Marinoy. But yeah, Kendrix is back in charge as the Pink Ranger.
She could have gone off with Andros.
Or she's probably dating Zane at the moment.
That, yeah.
Yeah, she's probably on a date with Zane. So I guess Kendrix had
they bought a moon somewhere, and they're just hanging out,
chilling on KO 35. But yeah, Kendrix and Damon are back. Of course, they showed up in part 2. They didn't really have much dialogue. But
yeah, and like their entrance, it was just like, okay, well now there's still 2 swords left here. Let's go pull those out. And now we're just gonna magically show up there.
Yeah, like, all right, all the Galaxy Rangers are here. Of course, we know Mike is not here because Mike's powers are pretty much gone. So there's nothing Mike can do at all. So.
Yeah. And what's his name? The Titanium Ranger. He didn't do anything. He wasn't.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah,
Ryan's still searching for a way to stop the demons.
Yeah, which is I find it interesting that he's still in the the opening.
Yeah,
credits.
He's still in the
I don't know if that's because they didn't want to pay to redo them again. But it's also bizarre because they with the little bit that he's in the show, I don't know why he's actually in the credits at all. Like why they updated them to show him in the first place. Maybe it was a deal they made because this season was still SAG, right?
Yes, this is still during the SAG time.
Yeah, so maybe it's part of his contract. That not actual nothing to do with the story or the show itself, but maybe it was a contractual obligation.
Yeah. And also another thing, Miss Fairweather and Captain Mitchell are not in this episode at all.
No, we don't see them again until this stupid clip show.
Yeah. So yeah, this episode was pretty much all in the Rangers' hands. Like no mentors help, no anything. This was just all strictly Ranger focus.
Yeah, Thomas Franco just joined the chat. Hey, Thomas, how's it going, man? Also, before I forget, Jared Hodges, I have something for you that I got from Joe, and Jezzer just hit me up with your information, so that should be getting shipped out in the next week, maybe sometime this week. I'm not sure exactly what day. I go in for my second vax shot on Monday, so I don't know. I don't know how that's going to affect me. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of mixed results from people that I've talked to. So I can expect to either be completely fine and not affected at all, or be curled up in a ball lying in bed shivering under the covers.
That's how I felt.
I don't know which one.
That's how I felt when I got mine.
That's what I've heard. But I'm looking forward to it just because it's been a year and a half now. Almost. I've because of the nature of my day job, I've been able to go out and interact with other people. Not necessarily going out to restaurants and hanging out and doing all that kind of stuff. But right. I've been fortunate that I've been able to interact with people on a fairly regular basis just because of what I do. But I just want to go out. Like I'm not really a club person, but I do like going out to bars and hanging out at bars. I like going out to restaurants and just I like everyone else. I like going out. So
Like spending, just having a night on the town. That's all it is.
yeah, like I was talking with Shay earlier because he also lives here, and we were just talking about going to like Universal Studios or out to Disney or just doing something, and it's I don't know, I'm glad things went the way that they did. That because obviously not shutting down would have been worse, but it's
That would have been like a total catastrophe.
yeah.
Worse than what would have happened anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. So we'll see. But anyway, Jared, expect to see that in the mail sometime in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Back to life, back to reality.
So yeah. Another thing about this team up. What else can I mention that hasn't been said, or that we haven't really talked?
Yeah, I don't know.
Talked.
Like this is it's interesting. Like not I don't want to go too far off topic, but talking like I'm on our watch along for Star Wars: The Bad Batch. And Jamie and I also do our Star Trek show. You do the Sentai wrap up show. I find it easier to talk about the story elements from those shows. Maybe not Sentai because I don't watch it, so I don't know how deep the story is. But like at least like Star Wars and Star Trek, there's a lot more depth to the story, so it makes it a little bit easier to talk about. With these episodes, like every once in a while, we'll hit one that does hit really well and gives us a lot. It gives us a lot to talk about, but just the superficial nature of the story itself. Like like we got Corey, who I can call out because he's not here to defend himself. He's like, I watch it for the fights. But I like watching things for the story that's involved. And these, like, honestly, sometimes I feel like there's not really much there.
Yeah. And now that you brought that up, it's kind of, this tends to happen when a team up, just pops up in the middle of the season. Like the story takes a pause and then we focus on the plot of the team up because, the team up could be wrapping up loose ends from the previous season.
Right.
And then closing its doors.
And I mean, I'm fine with that happening. Like, we were talking about this on the Star Wars show last week. Last week's episode of The Bad Batch. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it felt almost like a filler episode where it didn't really do anything to further the overall plot of the season. It did little things here to push the narrative of it was character development. Like we learned like maybe one new thing about what was happening in the overall plot, but the rest of the episode was just character development, and it dug into who are these characters that make up the Bad Batch, and I feel like Power Rangers could benefit from doing that. Like more, like we don't need more like singularly character focused episodes, but just more to build the characters themselves.
Like character driven episodes.
Yeah.
That builds off each of the team, each character.
Right.
Instead
right.
of just doing like solo focus episodes.
Right. Like because if you go character first, like if you focus on the characters and use the action to build them instead of using the characters to build the action, which is kind of how I feel it is here, where they're like, okay, well, we have this big fight. So what do we need to have the characters do to get to the fight? Because they're working in reverse. They're coming from the footage that they already have and fitting the characters into it instead of fitting the footage to the story.
Yeah,
and it's specifically for this episode and a few others. I feel like that was a detriment to the overall narrative. Like it was fun. Like it was absolutely fun seeing everyone together, everyone fighting together. The fights were really good. Seeing Leo and Damon and Maya and Kai again, all that. Yeah, it was nice seeing it. I just feel like the story could have just been just a little bit more, better. Just a little bit more than the surface level that we got. That was just using them as a means to get to the fights.
Right. And actually, I guess we could jump into notes because there's a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
lot of notes regarding this episode. So the reason the morphing sequence that the Lost Galaxy Rangers use, that's the Gingaman footage. That's the Gingaman morph footage. Because
Okay.
when I first saw that, I was like, oh, that must be their traditional morph. And then you look at Lost Galaxy, I'm like, oh, no, it isn't. That's not it. So some other notes. Trakina's original actress, Amy Rose, she wasn't in this episode because she felt that her character was not going to be in the team a lot more because Heather was getting more of the screen time, so they had to find another replacement actress, and that's why Trakina's wearing that mask.
Right. Yeah, yeah. That was I forgot. I wanted to bring that up earlier.
Yeah. So I mean, I wasn't mad at that, but
No, like that's one of those things that like it's one of those things where I don't really need to know the reason why Amy Miller decided not to come back. Like
Mhm.
the reason itself completely makes sense. Like I completely understand that, but it's one of those things where character wasn't available or
Yeah.
the actress wasn't available for some reason. That happens on shows all the time. So
Hmm.
that's nothing new.
Yeah. Leo, when he's morphed, that's not Danny Slavin's voice. That's someone else doing
Really?
ADR. Yeah, that's someone else's ADR voice doing Leo.
That's interesting. I didn't even notice that. That was
Yeah.
whoever the voice double
Oh,
was pretty good.
Christopher Glenn. He did the ADR for Leo.
Okay.
But he made himself very convincing as Leo. It
Yeah.
almost exactly the same a little
Yeah.
bit. But hey, that's acting for you.
What else you got?
Um, some other notes. Corona and Mike go unmentioned in this episode. Yeah, of course. Um, let's see.
What about
Uh,
Zordon? What's Zordon doing?
like no mention of Zordon whatsoever. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all the other notes I want to bring up because we pretty much said all the stuff already in the beginning as we were talking about
Yeah.
this.
What about errors? Any errors of
Uh,
like actual errors? Like not
okay.
like hey, there's Japanese writing on this thing. Yeah. No shit.
It's common practice for most buildings to not have a 13th floor.
Well, I
Oh,
mean that's true, but not true at the same time. Like there is that it's not so much the case anymore. But there was a long period of time where because 13 is considered to be an unlucky number, you get on the elevator and there's no 13th floor. It just
yeah.
goes right to 14. The 13th floor still exists. It's just the 14th floor.
Yeah. Skips over the
Yeah.
13.
Or
Another
or
error.
they start at the lobby.
Oh yes, yeah. Starts up at L and then go
And then
upwards.
13 is actually 14, but everything below 14 is actually one number higher than it should be.
Yeah. When this is another error. When Carter finally meets the ghouls, he is shown to be wearing his Lightspeed jacket despite not having it earlier when he met Heather. Of course, look.
Well, I mean that's a continuity error.
Yeah,
I can accept that one.
yeah. The flashback of Trakina's original destruction had different dialogue than was used in the actual episode, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Despite omitting Mike's Magna Defender powers in the Torozord, several traces of Torozord are still shown. Basically, in the Megazord battle, if you like blink, you'll miss it. But just like when the backfire Trakina attacks the
Yeah.
Rangers and their
Yeah.
Megazords, you actually see 3 Megazords for a quick second, and then it
Huh. I
disappears.
didn't notice that. That might have been one of the moments that I was looking away from the screen.
Yeah, it's so quick you'll just miss it. So I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
So just be because whatever. For background information while I was watching these. So I know I bought a computer from Best Buy like maybe a little bit less than a month ago.
hmm
Because I'd been trying to build up a desktop for so long, so that I had a computer other than my laptop. Uh, that the moment I saw one that had a current gen graphics card in it, I was like, okay, just I don't care, just give me it, I'll buy it. Hopefully, it'll be fine.
right.
Couple days later, Shay did the same thing. He was like, "Oh man, Best Buy has these in stock," so he went out and bought it too. Over the next like week and a half to 2 weeks, we would constantly go back and forth with. Are you having this issue with your computer? Is your computer doing this?
No, I know. I
And
don't have. Yeah.
so we just kept going back and forth with that, and finally both of us got sick of it, and we were like, okay, let's just build a new computer. Or not. We're like, individually bring back the Alienware, buy all the parts, and just do it. I'll just do it myself. So finally on Thursday night, was it Thursday night? No, Wednesday night. After trying for like the past week and a half to get a graphics card online from when the stock is released, because they do it basically the same way that like Best Buy and Walmart and Target do with the PS5s and the Xboxes. They'll get a little bit of stock, and then at noon they'll drop like 4 or 5 of them, and then the next day same type of thing. So we got sick of not being able to get in on one of those. So there's a store about an hour away that had them in stock, and got stock regularly at the store level. So we ended up driving out there at 2 o'clock in the morning to wait in line, to make sure that we got one.
Wow.
So this morning, because I need to return the Alienware before I can't return it and lose my money on it.
Right.
So I while I was